My dystopia, Psychorphyma, is connected to real life in that there are two different groups of people. One group of people are people who take every shot, and then there's another group of people that don't take every shot, or they don't take shots at all. And in my dystopia, I'm taking an extreme point of view from people who don't believe in unnecessary shots, or people who they don't feel that shots are necessary. I'm not trying to make any conspiracy theories about this, or anything about how the government's trying to steal our money from shots or anything, because the government doesn't get money from us paying for shots anyways. But I believe that some shots are a waste of time, and that's what I'm trying to explain in my dystopia. For instance, a big shot that I believe is to be very unnecessary and that shouldn't really be distributed to all people, that not all people should be able to get this shot, is the flu shot. And I don't really understand the point of getting shot. Like, I can understand for people who are old, or for people who are just get sick really easily. Like, I can understand why they would get the shot. But for normal, healthy people that don't really get the flu that often, or who, when they get the flu, it's not even that bad for them. It's just kind of like a notch higher than getting a cold. I don't believe that they should have to get the flu shot every year, because shots are really supposed to build your immunity to diseases, and I just feel that the flu shot doesn't really build up your immunity if you have to take it annually. And also, as a personal connection to myself, my grandfather, who is an older gentleman, and he wanted to get the shot because he's older, and older people should get it because they're more likely to get worse reactions or symptoms to viruses that they catch. And so my grandfather went to go get one, and 2 weeks later he got the flu himself. I'm not saying that this happens to everybody, but I'm trying to tell you that the flu shot may be, and sometimes some other shots too, they may be worse to get them than to get the actual disease or virus that you can catch from it. Because some people, they can get rashes and allergic reactions to the shot on their arms. Some people get rashes, and some people can get their whole arm swollen. And some people, it's just really painful for them. And then other people, they barely ever get the disease, like my grandfather. And then once it's not the shot directly that gave it to him, it's the shot actually weakened his immune system, because when you put a shot into your bloodstream, it's kind of putting in a little bit of the virus, but not enough to actually make you sick. So it's not the shot directly, it's indirectly giving it to you by weakening your immune system, because while all the things in your immune system are going and fighting off of that little area, there's like room for other viruses to sneak in, and it just coincidentally happened to be the flu that snuck in before the flu shot was able to prevent getting it. And so that's my real world connection. Additionally, I just have some added thoughts to kind of clear up the whole summary of my dystopia. Maybe it'll help with some questions that you ask for me, and it will help just for you to be able to understand the idea that's in my head better. So I said, for a question that someone might have about is that, like, their question is how Americans, like, how do Americans not find out? Like, how do Americans, when the shot is first going through and, like, people are starting to get the shot and people are starting to drop unconscious, how do people not realize that this is happening right away? So my answer to this is that there's only a select few people who know about the shot's real intent before it actually gets spread out. So there's not that many people that know in the first place, so it's not like an actual like whole 1/3 of Americans that are in on the secret, because if there was 1/3 of Americans that were in on the secret, then at least one of them would probably tell somebody in another country who would alert everybody else and rumors spread around. But also, the reason why people aren't seeing these other people dropping dead, they are seeing them. Well, they're not dropping dead, they're dropping unconscious, but the reason why they're not seeing them just like staring blankly off into space and stuff is because they do see them. However, the government says that that's the disease that is causing it. So they put out this fake disease called Psychorphyma, and they tell everyone the symptoms that people either, if they get the disease, they either just sit here blankly, like how Marissa was doing in the video, or they just drop dead, or like, I mean, oh my gosh, they do not drop dead. They become unconscious. Like those people who in the pictures, they were just like sitting there on the table, and those two pictures are that girl that was just laying in the cornfield. Like that's what people would see, except for soldiers would come in, some of the soldiers that knew about it, or even soldiers that don't know about it. Like the government will just tell them like you have to take them to quarantine them. They're not actually taking them to quarantine them to put them somewhere so that nobody else will catch the disease, because the disease isn't real. They're actually taking them to black markets in Thailand and stuff, and human trafficking them. And so that is why people don't become suspicious of this. Like at first they become suspicious, and then the government tells them that it's just the disease that's doing that, and so then they don't get suspicious anymore. Another thing that you may have a question for is what happens, like why this, because there are people, finally people, like the few stranglers that are left, just a couple, very few people who are left that are totally against getting the shot and decide not to take the shot, why they don't go and alert anybody, it's because that by that point in time, everything is such a mess with the government, because the government's plan totally backfires, and nothing's really good and stable anymore in America. Everything's kind of like a wasteland. Like if you think of like zombie apocalypse and how they attack everything, it's kind of like that, except for there's no zombies, of course, and they're not really attacking anything. Just the few people that were left go and like break into houses and stuff so that they can like live there and like get extra food, and break into stores and get all the food they can, because they can't cook any food anymore. There's no farming, their money's worthless, so it's not like they can go on a boat or something, because all the boats are either taken by the government or they wouldn't be able to go that far, like little sailboats or anything. And so that's why they just don't have the proper money or technology, or no cable lines work or anything. So that's the answer. Any other